Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to a podcast. My name is Alan,
And I'm Jorge.
and today's guest is licensed to sell real estate in the state of Oregon and the state of Nevada, coming all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Wilson Walker, man, thanks for coming through with us, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me at such a short notice, and I'm glad to be here, and I love what you guys are doing here.
No, man, we're excited to have you on. I remember that I reached out to you a while ago because for a while you were coming pretty often because you're from Portland, right?
Yes, indeed.
Or you're from Hawaii?
Born and raised in Hawaii. I grew up in Portland, I would say, since like 2002. And yeah, ever since, about 2020 is when I made that move to Nevada. So ever since the move, I've been coming back to Portland every, say, month, 2 months. And yeah, this is just long overdue on this trip.
So you do a little bit of everything. So I would more consider you like an entrepreneur. So you do real estate, you sell real estate, you also flip houses, which is still technically real estate, and then you also have your own brand. But we'll start from like the beginning, because we met you. Dude, this was probably like 9 years ago, 10 years ago at this point.
Right.
We met you at Verizon like 10 years ago. And from what I remember, you quit. When you quit, you went straight into real estate.
Exactly.
And I have you on Facebook, so I always see you posting when you sell a house and stuff. And then next thing I know, you're over here posting that you bought a house and then that you're flipping the houses, and then you had like a couple houses at the same time.
Absolutely. It is a non-stop, ongoing process, whether it's buying houses, selling them, and I mean like with clients, working with investors, and yeah, now as more of a recent past 3 years, investing myself. So along with that, I do have this brand, Double Up Blackjack. It's kind of a brand I started in Vegas, all in regard to creating something, whether it's the Vegas lifestyle of entertainment, being bold, having fun, work-life balance. So I like to, work out in my own gear, and then also play blackjack on the side.
Hell
That is
yeah.
my
Yeah.
vice.
Are you an advantage player?
Yes, as far as, I do count cards. I do, all of the play basic strategy. I do have a progressive system. I count my units and I'm in and out. I'm not there to have fun. I'm there to win some money.
Hell yeah. That did you see that post that or little clip of Dana White when he talks about that? Because Dana White is a huge
haven't, no.
he's a huge gambler, and he'll go in. I forgot how much money he said. I think he said like he went in with like 200 grand, which isn't like a lot of money for him. But then like right off the bat, he won 200 grand, and then he was like, he's like, I was in like 2-3 minutes. He's like, but I was like, fuck this. He's like, I made enough money. He's like, I don't need the casino. I don't need the free drinks. I don't need any of that. He's like, if you guys want to make money, he's like, this is how you do it, in and out. He's like, sometimes
Yeah.
he's like, you have to be there a little bit longer to make money.
Yeah.
He's like, but if you win that kind of money right away, he's like, just leave.
Exactly.
But-
Dana White, I would say he's probably one of the goats of like playing blackjack, and very popular name that people know, especially since, UFC is in Vegas. So he's there all the time at Red Rock Casino, one of the, main residential hotel casinos. And yes, that's also kind of like what you were saying as far as the strategy of doubling your money and then you should be out. And that was kind of like a double, triple entendre of this brand, Double Up Blackjack. And, as far as double your money and leave, you want to double down on your certain bets. That's a lot of people pass up on, doubling your nines and tens versus certain cards. So all of that kind of goes hand in hand together. But
Going back a little bit. So after you left Verizon, you started real estate. How did you get into real estate?
yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of different things besides a career path led me to real estate. But I knew and looked back early on that it all had to do with being an entrepreneur, because my first job ever was, a little kid, going around Hawaii Kai and Honolulu, throwing the Honolulu Advertiser, the newspaper. And then from there, I had a job going into Portland at 16, as far as it was called Beauty for the Beast, where people would do it yourself, wash your dogs. And I was just kind of The point of it is that I always like to control my own time. I didn't really care for authority figures right over you, like micromanaging, and also just being able to determine your income, maximizing on sales and commission. And besides that, it's always funny when someone else tells you, whatever you're doing, you need to get into marketing, which that is the name of real estate. And also, the last part of it is I have a godfather who is, one of the top real estate agents in Hawaii. I mean, we're talking about like $1 million listings. And he went to, with my father, University of Hawaii, where it's the clientele base. He's working with professional athletes and stuff. And I always looked up to him growing up. So all of that together is what led me into real estate.
So when you went into your first, what do you call it, a brokerage, right? The people that you start working for, did you know them, or did you just randomly apply, found whoever you liked best online, and?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, because I, before Verizon, us all working there, I worked at Radio Shack before I started wireless, and this guy, one of my first bosses there, he was in real estate for like 20 years before going to Radio Shack. And, the market shifted in 2007. So he got out of that. He started managing the Radio Shack store. And then from there, after Radio Shack several years, right around when I left Verizon, is when he reached out to me randomly and was like, Wilson, you know what? Out of all the people that, I managed, you're the one to come under my team or going into real estate. I think you would kill it. And the rest is history.
From there. How long did it take you to sell your first house?
The first house, it took me, I would say, within the first 2 weeks, I had a lead, which that's one of my recommendations for anyone who is new in real estate. You could go about it in a couple ways. If you join a team, you're most likely to get some kind of paid leads in, but you usually have to pay percentages to your broker. And through that beginning of mine, I had a lead within 2 weeks. And I actually, it's funny being out here, is that I have a soft spot for Salem. It was a lead out here in Salem, over there on Fairhaven. I don't want to give the full address to my guy, Alfonso. And anyway, within the 2 weeks, he had a house that was under construction, and he liked it, and we put in the offer. And if anything, we were just waiting on it to be completely finished before, moving in. But from there was another lead, like before that was sold and it was still pending, another one in Beaverton. And you want to build momentum, and it happened for me quick, fortunately.
So you sold the house in your first 2 weeks, technically. If they would have been constructed already, you would have closed it.
Well, and that's a funny thing in real estate. It's like, it's not over until it's over, until the fat lady sings. Like, until you could even get all the way to the closing table and something could go wrong. Like, if anything, the worst nightmare for a realtor or anyone in a transaction is seeing like your client, especially the buyer who has to get qualified for a loan, like pull up in a brand new car where you're like, oh no, because it's going to ruin their credit. And I'm serious, like right before it officially closes, it's going to be a deal breaker. So until it's fully recorded and sold, the money has been funded, transferring accounts, then, you could celebrate.
Would you say that happens? Yeah,
it does. Like more often than, typically you would think, but it's all about your agent being able to fully educate the buyer, especially a first-time home buyer. You got to let them know the proper expectations, because if not, it's on you, because you're the professional. You need to guide them throughout the whole thing.
I think that's really important. I think to have a real estate agent that really knows, because I mean, now you probably going into it, you probably let them know like, hey, just to let you know, I don't recommend buying any new cars. If you already got approved, let's not mess this up. Let's just get this closed, and then you can go get your brand new car and have a new house and everything, right?
Exactly. Like the way you're saying that, it's like with the real estate business, you also want to, you're more of a consultant. You're not selling them anything. The houses sell themselves. So as a consultant, you want to have two different aspects as far as, first of all, you have to have them trust you. And trust is all, from what I learned, is that having that authority figure and a likability figure. So for example, like a doctor, the good doctors, the ones that might crack a joke or anything, but as soon as they walk in with, that white suit and all and the white jacket, and you kind of like sit up. So those two combinations together is what builds that rapport and trust. And that's all I'm trying to do and communicate with all of my clients.
So there's two different types of real estate agents, right? There's sellers and buyers, but they do both, but some do more of one than the other. Is that right?
And you're saying the types of agents?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So some
Or correct
agents,
my lingo if I'm wrong, just because.
well, and it's all universal because typically some agents could focus just on sellers. Some agents focus just on buyers, or some just focus on investors. And it all is, wrapped around what kind of focus or what kind of clientele, or what are their strong suits in, engaging with their clientele. So, for example, the seller's agents are usually people who they make a lot of calls, a lot of outbound reaching to different types of, distress or motivated owners of properties, and they want to pretty much have a listing, be able to market that listing, maybe get new clientele that way, and then kind of put it on the MLS and wait for whatever action to happen. And buyer's agents, on the other hand, they're very active in, engaging with their clientels on new properties that come up on the MLS. They're back and forth sending them. It's all about getting the pre-approval and the lending correct, and also just maybe educating them a little bit more, because whether it's their first time doing it or any new changes in the restrictions and process of, real estate, which is always changing.
What do you mean by investors? I mean, I'm not familiar with it myself.
Yeah, well, and then investors are, usually in real estate, of course, has made more millionaires than just about any other industry. I know that there's up for debate nowadays with, other different industries, but real estate, is been since the beginning of time, has been around and will still be around later on because of the appreciation. But investors, usually there's a couple different avenues, whether they want to be more like a landlord and buy and hold properties and look for cash flow, passive income over time. Usually the successful ones have plenty of units. Even residential real estate is more like 1 to 4 units in a property, like a triplex, a quadplex, duplex. But the heavy hitter as far as passive income are the investors who own like complexes and affordable housing and stuff like that. But also there's another avenue which I jumped into, is the fix and flip. So that's just investing as far as finding a distressed property, buying it way below the current market value. You have to know your numbers and account for all the repairs and, the closing costs to make a profit. Obviously, that's why you're doing it. And also there's, I would say the new buzz, very popular, is wholesaling. And wholesaling real estate is where you're essentially just selling the contract. You could get a property under contract with an owner, and then you're shopping that contract to other investors who do want to fix and flip it.
Do you fix your properties, or do you get someone to fix it?
I personally don't. I definitely outsource it. For example, one of my favorite projects is with Johnny Lopez, who, through Verizon days, and he's got a great contracting company. And the contractors could make or break your deals, because in the fix and flip game, it's all about, the name of that is speed. Speed is everything. You want to make sure you're buying and selling within the same market conditions. Also, you know, you're usually accruing costs, you know, borrowing for a rehab loan. And also just as far as your contracts, you have to trust them because some of them might just be sitting on the job. Some of them might be, you know, overpaying for materials. But yes, I always vet and find the proper contractors through many different steps that I want, you know, in order for it to be successful.
Yeah, it just frees up your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Johnny live in Vegas or?
Johnny lives out here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay,
Canby or Silverton, I
but
think, something like that.
when he came out to visit, yes, Canby, I believe, Aurora, one of the two. But when he came out to Vegas, and I was like, yeah, Johnny, what if I have a property out here or something? He said, yeah, let us know. We'll find.
He goes to
There you
Vegas
go.
to fix your property.
He said he'll outsource, you know, some of his, you know, friends or
Awesome.
families. So,
Okay.
so yeah, if you have that's one thing that you guys all know as far as like relationships are everything in business. So,
Yeah.
you know, we already have the rapport. We've known each other, trust him, and he does great work.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Johnny.
Shout out Johnny.
So at what point, how long did it take you to go from selling houses to buying your own houses to flip your houses?
Yeah, well, I would say my first fix and flip property was in 2021. So it was maybe about 4 years in of being licensed, but you know, I could have done it earlier, and there's a lot of misconceptions as far as, you know, getting into it if that's something that people are interested in doing. And it really came down to, you know, people thinking of having the capital to do it, having the money to afford it. But you could also do, you know, joint ventures, whether that's like having an investor who wants to passively make money and say, hey, look, I'll manage the whole project. I'll break down the numbers for this deal. If it makes sense, and you just, you know, fund me the money, let's go 50-50 on it. So that's another way to kind of get into it right away if you know what you're doing. And then also before I started myself, I've helped plenty of investors. And when I would close deals with them, and I would be like, oh, you know, you feel great after making a commission, and, you know, you see your amount on the settlement statement. And then you see how much the investors are making. You're like, damn, I'm on the wrong side of this. Like, I need to get into the investor side because, you know, if it makes dollars, it makes sense.
Yep. So do you buy your own houses? Like, you're the real estate agent that does your own deal, and then you rehab it, obviously, and then you sell your own property, so you get a commission from both, technically?
Yes. Yeah? And if anything, that is one of the benefits and pros of the whole. There's a gray kind of area in regard to if you're helping clients as far as your fiduciary duty. But, you know, if you're working for yourself, you could definitely, what I do is I put the commission usually within the closing costs. So if I needed to, you know, you could use it to pay yourself, you know, at the closing table, but I just like reinvest it into the investment anyway. So, yes, that is definitely a pro for being licensed.
So what did you do? Did you get a loan the first time you flipped a house?
Yeah. So the typical way of doing, you know, a fix and flip investment is getting like either a hard money loan where these capital companies will fund the full purchase price of the house, or, you know, like a percentage, like 90%, 85% loan to value. And then from there, you usually have to pay the rest of the market value. And from there, you know, you do sometimes have to pay for your rehab costs. And yeah, you know, it's usually there's different ways to get funding. And OPM is a saying that we have in real estate, other people's money. And usually if you're helping someone else, then they're glad to pitch in money as well.
What went through your head the first time you did that? Like, when you got the loan?
Yeah, well,
Like, you signed on the dotted line?
I was thinking, wow, this got real.
Real quick.
This got real. Like it's official now. I know I was on the other end of it, but yeah, like okay, now I got to really perform. Like it's definitely a pressure or you know an excitement. But you know, as far as usually people take a while to take action, and even for myself, just after having you know a bunch of like. I'm one of those kind of guys who I'll go on YouTube to like educate myself or see. I like proof of concept and seeing other people who've successfully done it or mentorship. And then also the clientele that I've, you know, worked with where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable after several times seeing this. Now I'm ready to kind of jump in and try it out. So it got very exciting. And for my first fix and flip, I was already out in Vegas. So I did things remotely, which I don't recommend. Being in the same market that you're fixing and flipping in. Now, wholesaling, on the other hand, you could do that remotely through other states as far as if you know how to punch your numbers and stuff. But as far as the fix and flipping, because of the contractors and needing to keep a schedule, unless you have a great project manager, I wouldn't recommend doing that remotely.
So your first flip you did remotely?
Yes, I did. Damn. And, you know, I couldn't wait quick enough for that to get over with.
I bet.
And it didn't help that the first fix and flip was with a Section 8 tenant. And if anything, I don't know if you guys know the Multnomah County like laws. I don't know how it is out here. As far as Multnomah County, there's a bunch of hoops you got to jump through. And my situation was 90-day no cause eviction is what I had to, that was the minimum for this tenant. And in this situation, I had to take on the tenant before, you know, after closing, which I don't recommend that either. Try to get a property without any tenants.
So you're paying interest for those 90 days?
I was paying interest for the 90 days, and Multnomah County requires you to pay a minimum of, since it was a 3-bedroom, $4,800. I had to pay the tenant to move out. Damn. So those two numbers alone could mess up, you know, your margins. So, yeah. And then from there, you know, everything else, you know, the time is of the essence when you're fixing and flipping. And that would not be I would be very hesitant to pick up another tenant on a fix and flip.
Portland is a really big, if not, it is the biggest market, right, for real estate in Oregon?
Yes, I would say Portland is, you know, very dense. So Portland metro area, you know, Multnomah County, Washington County is very big, along with Clackamas County. But if you look on the map, it's real estate is popping everywhere. And, you know, if anything from here, you mentioning of Salem and my first deal, it's funny because my first listing was out here in Salem as well. So, I would say you got to go wherever the market is kind of returning on your investment. So I invested, you know, all of my time in Salem in the beginning because it's just, that's where I was getting activity. And that first listing, that's a whole nother scenario of, you know, okay, hey, like you're selling someone's property, you're trying to make the maximum amount of money for them. And you're handling all the showings, and it's just it's a different excitement. And for being, you know, in Portland and doing it out here in Salem, I definitely do have a sweet spot for coming out here into this market.
That's interesting because I would have thought that, like, if you just started being a real estate agent, it would probably be easier for you to focus in the area that you're in. Mm-hmm. But that just, like, tells a lot about you because even though you're in Portland and there's a lot of stuff going on in Portland, you go wherever there's action. So you don't care if it's an hour and a half drive. Like, you'll go out here to just try to close a deal. So right. That, because I mean, I'm assuming there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition everywhere, but I'm assuming there's an agent in every corner up there.
Exactly. And that was the whole strategy behind it. And it was a little bit of a recommendation from my first broker was that, hey, this is kind of like an untapped market. You should definitely try Salem. It's kind of like having the training wheels of, going all in your own market of Portland at the time. And it's funny because, back in our Verizon days, I learned that as far as markets in general, where my first location was the Halsey store, if you remember, and we called that the Halsey hustle because you had to like maximize any clientele that came in because you go throughout the whole day of seeing one or two people. But then going to Canby, where it was like I had a certain thought of what it would be, working out there. But when, people would come in and you pull up accounts and there was so much like, upgrades or new activations. There's so much opportunity there. It was an untapped market. So same with real estate as far as you want to definitely guess to start off, go where you could get some immediate business. But then, yes, it is great to kind of be a local expert, and a term called farming is great for, your own neighborhood.
Interesting. What do you say about the people, or what do you think about the market? You're always going to hear the market's going to crash. There's so many people always saying different things. What do you think?
Yeah, well, and no one, whether it's, real estate agents or lenders, even economists, like there's no crystal ball. Yes, there are trends, year over year. And, the main thing I would say is that someone who wants to invest long term right now, real estate will still be able to long term appreciate. With something as far as if you're an owner now and you might have refinanced or purchased within the last like 2-3 years when you could get like a low, like sub 3% interest rate, your mortgage payments are very small. So it would have to really make sense in order to move on. But at the end of the day, people still will need a place to live. So it's going to always be in demand. And if you're renting, trying to wait for, but at first it was like, in 2021, 22, it was like, okay, no, I'm going to wait because, until the market crashes. But then people, you would get outbid and you would like pay like $50,000 over, the typical market value. So you had that one struggle. And now, since there's not as much competition, yes, you might pay more in an interest rate currently, but you're not paying as much. You could buy down the rate from the seller, which you couldn't even dream of negotiating before. And to really answer your question is if you need to move, you might as well do it. It's not like, just wanting to test it out, but if you need to, yes, it's still very available and, reachable to do.
Yeah, I remember when I was trying to buy a house back when it was like,
That was like 2 years ago, no?
I was like right when he was talking about like, dude, it was like going over 100K over a house. I was
Over
like,
asking price?
Yeah, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yep.
So, dude, I was everywhere, everywhere. And so we were looking for like duplex, triplex, fourplex, anything like that. And then we noticed people with big pockets, they're just eating them up at that time. So whatever, my girl got excited. She's just looking at houses. All right, whatever. We started looking at houses, dude. But every freaking house was 50, 40, 60, 100, 80. I think Portland had the record. I think it was like 100 or something.
Yeah, it was one of the craziest times of appreciation for the property. And it was like back then, these weren't like listing prices. They were like auction prices, It was like, how much more is it going to go over asking price? And it was crazy where, in order to get the price, you had to get the house. You had to do stuff like guarantee to pay over the appraised amount. Like, even if the house wouldn't like appraise in order for the bank to lend you the money, they would guarantee to come out of pocket to kind of compensate for that amount. Or you would have to buy cash, which if you're moving from California or, some other markets, it was easy to do coming to Oregon. Or what I did with some of my clients was we do like certain programs that would turn their lending into cash. like like the fix and flip kind of loans, and then from there kind of refinance it later. But you would able to offer cash and win, out of all like 15 crazy amount of offers coming in.
That's crazy. How would you determine an offer price? How would you recommend an offer price when something crazy like that's happening?
Yeah, well, if you're saying like with multiple offers,
Yeah, with multiple offers back then, because like he was saying, 40 over asking 80 or 100. So it's like, when were you like, all right, maybe we shouldn't offer that much. You need to calm down.
right. Well, it's all dependent on the motivation of your buyer, like how much they could afford, how much they're pre-approved for, and also how much they love the property. Like, I would also say doing what's called a comparable market analysis, where you get the home value. You want to get some kind of idea of how much the house really is going to be worth, because it is an investment. So whether it's your long-term goals and so yes, so doing running the comps and doing a CMA, it's just finding homes within like a 1 mile radius, about the same bedroom, bathroom, square footage, same kind of amenities or fixtures in the property, and yeah, you want to get a value by comparing it to nearby properties.
Yeah. Do you regret not getting into that house? Remember the one that you I think they accepted the offer? Or something like that?
Nah, dude, it's too much to deal with. Dude, fuck that. Nah, too
He-
much to repair. I'm like,
He put in an offer and it got accepted, and then as soon as he got accepted, he's like, I fucked up. Because then
No,
you had to do the roof, then you had to like do a basement.
It's not that, but when we went to look at it, they had all their furniture and it looks nice. But it's those type of homes that someone tried fixing or remodeling, but it was like half-assed. It's like, the flooring. They didn't even take the trim to put the new floor. Like you would see, dude, it was a mess. So I was like, dude, what else did they do? So then you could tell I'm a detail person, so you could tell all the details. So I'm like, oh, it's gonna be more. I'm like, nah, hell. Once we did the inspection, all the furniture was out. That's when I realized everything. I'm like, nah, you know what?
Right.
Nah, not worth it. It's whatever. I mean, it was a nice house. I mean,
That's the one that had the big backyard, right?
nah, dude.
No?
Nah. It was just it had a basement. I always wanted a house with a
basement.
basement, but had a basement. A lot of detail, man. After everything was moved, detail, and I was like, nah, hell no. I'm like, nope.
Let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
How was it when, okay, like you said, you got it under contract, you get a little bit excited, a little bit of, anxiousness or whatever it might be, and then you do the inspection and all these things are being pointed out, like, how was that? And did you get like a huge report, like an inspection report? And
No. So the inspection was okay. It's everything that you had to do, like for me mentally, it was, first of all, when you're looking at a house, people get emotional, and that's the tough part. I'm not like that, but my wife is. So it's one of those things that you've been looking for a while. It's competitive. It's asking price, whatever. We did an offer on this house. It was a house that honestly I didn't think we were gonna get. So hey, you got it. And we're like, okay. I'm like, okay, oh shit. It's you gotta leave all your emotions out and be like, okay, let's get to the drawing board. Okay, is this really what we wanted? Or is it because we just gotta, we closed it, I was in the fence, and I'm like, you know what? Nah, there's too much shit to do at this point. I'm like, nah, let's just actually buy a house that we're actually gonna enjoy and like. And she's like, yeah, whatever, yeah. But that's what it was. Too much work, dude. The roof, this, and like, nah.
it's like, if you're willing to do that, like, it's like you either go about it like a turnkey, like move-in ready, or you go into it thinking, hey, I'm gonna do some sweat equity.
But that's the problem. That's the problem, because he likes old houses. He likes houses that have what he considers character, and I'm the opposite way. Like, I want a turnkey. Like, for me, a brand new house would be ideal for me. Like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have to do anything besides put curtains up. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's the other way around. But then when he got the project, he's like, maybe this is a little bit too big of a project.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, hell no. I was like, nah, man. It was like 3,000 square feet.
It was a big house. It was a big house.
So I'm like, I think at this point I'm like, nah. If we're not 100%, if we're not in love with it, fuck it, we'll just we'll pass.
Right. You would have had many trips to Home Depot and Lowe's.
No, that's what it
you
would have
did
been.
for
And
sure.
then knowing
That's for
me,
sure.
I don't think it would have got done. You start a project and you're doing this, and after a while you realize, oh shit, you need to do this, you need to do that. Oh wait, took off the wall. Now you actually have to do something different, and then it just starts adding up, dude. So
Yeah,
And
definitely.
at
starts
that point,
adding
I'm
up.
like, let's quit it. Nah, hell no.
We're
Done.
backing out.
Backing out.
Yeah.
Dude, what made you move to Vegas?
Yeah, well, there was a number of things. I would say for one is okay because I went to Portland State and I went to they had the free healthcare there, and I literally got diagnosed for like having low vitamin D deficiency. So, yeah, I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I needed the sun back. Over time, like I love Portland, especially this time of year. Being May, June. It's beautiful, and the rest of the part of the year, as far as the clouds and rains, it was just a little too much. I wanted to change the scenery of that, but I also loved that they had the Raiders in town. All of it, the UFC, boxing, the even the Golden Knights. So entertainment, the sports, and also the cost of living. It's very affordable and transient, so you get a lot of people coming in and out. So it's great for real estate, and they have some of the best food there as well. So you could go to different restaurants, every other night and have some high cuisine from around the world. And also because it's such a travel destination, there's always low airfare, so cheap travel to go in and out.
So you just wanted a more of a sunny spot, and Vegas was where you ended up?
Well, yeah, as far as having a sunny spot, California, as we all know, is like kind of super expensive. The beach is nice, but also it is close enough. It's not like going all the way to, Florida or Texas or something. And then they call it the ninth island. So being born and raised in Hawaii, it's weird, but a lot of locals end up, migrating to Hawaii or to Vegas from Hawaii. And it's a thing called being priced out of paradise, where, they have property that they no longer could afford, and it's too expensive there. But something about whether it's the gambling, the sun, and just the communities in general, there's plenty of people from Hawaii that move there. And so I kind of felt that as well as far as the culture.
Were you a gambler before you moved to Vegas?
That is funny. I was not. So I was not. But, I would say this. First of all, if you have an addictive nature or if you have vices that are like out of control, Vegas is not your Vegas might not be your place to live. There's just for vacation only there for you. But on the first, the weekend I moved out there, I didn't really know how to play any. I mean, I might have threw some dollars in the slot machine, but one of my buddies, my buddy Greg, he was visiting. He just happened to be visiting the first weekend that I moved out there. So we linked up. And, I met him at the downtown, Fremont area, and he was playing blackjack, and it was one of those, it's an easy game to learn. And I saw him playing, and all it was is, in me, I'm huge on math and numbers. So I kind of picked up on it easily, and I won right away. So I was like, I like this game. Yeah, I like this. This might be trouble.
That's how they get you, dude. You win your first time. They hook you.
And the way my biggest piece of advice for gambling or blackjack or anything is, like we were saying with Dana White, you try to double up your money, but you got to know when to leave. I've seen so many people and I'm talking about they'll bet away all their savings, their mortgage, and that's how they end up, on the streets. But
That's tough, man. Yeah, sometimes when I'm gambling, I'm just like, man, I'm gonna stop at an even 1,000. I'm at 9. Next thing you know, dude, I'm down to 5, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, well, I need to get back to 9.
Yeah.
And then 9 never happens, dude. So it's tough. It's tough.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's why they say you gotta double up and get the hell out of there.
Do you go to the strip often or no?
I don't, and
No?
and most locals really don't. It's
Yeah.
like, and I actually had a recent post about that. But a couple of things will get me to the strip is one, whether it's like a sporting event where the T-Mobile Arena is for the UFC and the Golden Knights hockey games. Number two would be certain restaurants which are phenomenal on the strip. Like I love this Italian one at New York, New York. The Venetians got a great. They all have great restaurants. And then number three is just if someone's visiting. So and you get that like now I'm at that point where it's like, oh yeah, like you'll get that call every month and you're. All right, well, and you're like, you got to let them know, hey, I live here. Like, I'm not going to be on the same mode as you. I got to go to work tomorrow, But, yeah, besides that.
I mean, that's what I hear from everybody that lives there, so.
And then one other thing is that there might be a misconception of there's a lot of community outside of the Strip. First thing everyone thinks of Vegas is the Strip. But as far as, like, they have, like, one of the top parks and recs in certain areas. The Summerlin community in the northwestern part of town and Henderson are like some of the top master plan communities like in the U.S. And there's so much more to offer outside of the Strip, but it is a little bit. It's nice to have a staycation every once in a while.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year at the pools.
Yeah, do you ever stay at the Strip then?
I do actually, and from playing blackjack, my favorite time to do so is when I'm getting comped. So I'll and what I realize is that whether I'm playing like small amount or big amounts, it's always a wave. So you just gotta ride the wave. So, but my point though is that if you bet high amounts and they like your action, you create good relationships with these pit bosses. And they'll comp you out, to stay. And I've stayed and played at just about every hotel out there.
What's your favorite?
Well, that is a great question because it could be one favorite on the Strip or one on like the old Fremont Strip. So
Let's do both.
I would say and they all, because as you know, they all have their different themes and they offer some kind of different experience. I would say on the Strip, for some reason, I like, the Wynn is like upscale as far as like you want to have the best kind of day club, the XS, their nightclub, and just it's beautiful. You can't go. I also like, for some reason, the Mandalay Bay. That also has an appeal to me. I think because that was one of the first spots on the Strip that I started winning big on blackjack. Plus, you got to know whether you're visiting or a local is if they're ran by, it's either usually MGM or Caesars. So, if you compile their rewards, then you could get different benefits. So I tend to lean, I would say, the MGM properties. Well, I do both. But and then the Fremont Street, I would say Golden Gate is my favorite spot, which it's connected with Circa, and Circa is that one where I'll tell you a crazy story. So Circa is the one with the huge, like one of the biggest sports books, and it's got like the outdoor one where you're in the pool, and it has that huge like screen that you could see all the sporting games to bet on. Mm-hmm. And I got comped there for a birthday like 2 years ago. And, I was doing it to have fun, and of course I like playing blackjack, and I didn't really play much until right before I was checking out. And I was just like, you know what, let me just play. I was on my way out, and within like 15 minutes, I like won like $4,000. And I was like, yeah, this was a great birthday.
Yeah, your way out.
I'm not mad at it. And it was all comped, and, it was a great experience. So that's, one of the great things of living there.
Hell yeah. What's your favorite casino?
I don't know, dude.
He goes to Vegas a lot with
yeah.
his wife. Last time you went with your daughter too, no?
Yeah, last time we did. I don't know, dude. I mean, I felt like I've walked through a lot of them, but I like them all. They're all pretty unique, to be honest. I don't think I have well, first of all, I don't gamble. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I stay there. I just go there, eat, go to the food, drink, and I gamble a little bit, but nah. But I don't know. I don't got a favorite one. You?
No, I definitely have favorite ones there. Dude,
Why would you say it's your favorite
oh,
one?
that's what I was gonna tell you. So I love casinos. I've been like fascinated with casinos since I was like really really young. So the first time that I went to Vegas, I think I was like 22. I went with my girl, and that night that we got there, we probably got there at 6. I don't think we got back to our hotel room till like 4. And I didn't even I gambled at every single casino on the strip, but I put in $100 on roulette, and then I just kept I kept doing that. I only played once on every casino because I wanted to walk through every casino because every casino was so different. They all have a specific theme. I think Caesar's Palace was my favorite. I don't know how long it took them to build that thing, but literally every inch of that building has like, it's very really detailed. That's an incredible building. The outside of it, I mean, everything about that building is like fucking fascinating to me. Fremont, I like the Golden Nugget.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of those look the same, but I don't know. I got attracted to that specific one. I don't know if it's the light bulbs that's in the front of the building. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe that's what it is.
It does look a lot like the
That looks
the
old
Golden
school.
Nugget.
A little bit
Yeah,
old school.
Four Queens or yeah, it does look kind of old school, which all Fremont is. And I was gonna say, what about, okay? So if you gamble and Jorge, you don't. What brings you to, like, what do you like about going to the Strip or being in Vegas then?
Shit, dude. I don't know. Just have fun, drink, party,
Yeah.
dance. You know.
Did you never dance?
Dude, you don't know me, right? That's what I say. I don't dance. Next thing you know, I'm fucking busting moves, man. No, I don't know, man. I've always liked the urban life, the city, party life. I don't know. I like going. I gamble here and there. I mean, my wife likes gambling, but she knows that she's like, nah, I just you can spend a lot of money doing that. So she's like, nah, I just stay away from it. But no, we just go out, dude.
Have you noticed that roulette's kind of different because of, it's the variable of that ball spinning, but like, have you noticed like playing like blackjack or like, the Strip, like the odds are like crazy against you?
I was just gonna tell you, they have shitty blackjack games on the whole Strip. I only found one 6-deck table, and I think there was maybe two. But I sat at one 6-deck table, and it was on New York, and it was also when we were leaving Vegas, and I was down like fucking $4,000 for the trip, and it was like a 2-day trip, and then I ended up getting three of those $3,000. I ended up making $3,000 on our way back to the airport. It was shitty everywhere. But at that point, I went to gamble, and it was just so shitty because they have different rules. Because there was a couple casinos, I think it was on Fremont, that had I really like a free bet, and they had a free bet, but some of them were different. Some of them they had different rules. So it just like, it wasn't like what I'm used to here. And it just felt it was just like getting beat after getting beat after getting beat, and it got real old real fast. My favorite place to gamble really is Reno. I don't think I would rather, if I went to gamble, I would rather go to Reno than I would to Vegas for sure.
Right. It's kind of like, when I think of that, I think of like, stripping down all the glitz and glamour, and you're just able to kind of get to the game. And in Vegas, they try to lure you with all that, like, and get you distracted and give you the free drinks and stuff. And then you just don't care if you lose your money as much. So that's interesting though, Reno.
Yeah.
Have you been?
I have been. And it's funny. This was back with like my ex-girlfriend was moving. And I met up with her in Reno, and, that's when we were like, hey, and it was my idea. I was like, we were going to stay there before driving all the way to Reno to Vegas. And I was like, it was my idea. I was like, let's stay at this place. And it was a casino.
Oh, shit. They got tables here?
Yeah. And that was the thing, though. Yeah. And then I was like looking for it. That was the whole kind of reason why I like booked this place for us to stay. And then, turned out like they weren't even like working that night. Like the dealers weren't doing blackjack. So I was like,
Yeah.
That's shitty.
but secretly I was like, yeah, I just was like, oh,
But there's a
man.
ton of casinos in Reno, so it's like not even that long of a drive.
Yeah, maybe
one
I
to
picked the
another.
wrong one, and it's funny because if anything, I was trying to like not let her know about me wanting to play. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, they just happen to have blackjack here. I might as
shit,
well.
what a coincidence.
You know, yeah.
I did that when we went to Disneyland, dude. When we went to Disneyland, my girl was like, "Oh, we should get this hotel. It's right across the street from Disneyland." And I'm like, "Man, that's too expensive. I don't think I want to go there." And then I ended up getting a more expensive hotel that was like that was like fucking 5 miles, 10 miles away from Disneyland. And I'm like, "But this is really nice." But that hotel was like in the middle of like 3 casinos, and we were gonna stay there for 3 nights. So I was like, man, I could just like go to one night, go to another the other night, and it was like right in the middle. So I was like, this is a nice one. This is the nicest one. But yeah,
Exactly.
it was funny. I did the same thing.
Like, for some reason I like this one right here.
I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
this seems safe.
Damn, dude.
This seems safe. So what do you got going on with your brand, bro? What's coming with your brand? I know you got an Instagram. We've been following the Instagram since you started that, and I got excited. I got hyped on it because I personally like blackjack too. So I'm like, okay, I'm interested in seeing where he's gonna take this.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's with the brand, it's mainly in the beginning stages of, yes, I'm trying to create some awareness and create somewhat of a culture of, like-minded people who like, blackjack or any kind of, gaming for entertainment. But then I also do, sell this merch, which it's also for kind of like my working out. I'm really big into working out. I go like 5-6 times a week. And it's just something that I could kind of wear my own brand, and it's all kind of with the work hard, play hard kind of mentality. It's like a polarity. So with that, I could see merch is hard though. I'll tell you that, in clothing. So as of right now, you have to find certain suppliers, and you have to run ads and know your clientele. You could create a bunch of overhead buying all this inventory. So as of right now, I'm just kind of using it myself. I do have the page and stuff where you could order, and outside of that, yeah, it's just kind of the beginning phases, and I do see branding potential in a podcast for having it. Here's what my idea of the branding for the podcast would be. If you've seen, I have a blackjack table in my house, so I would create some kind of podcast or some room at the blackjack table, whether we're playing kind of passively or not, but it would be able to create conversation. And when I first moved out there at the beginning of the pandemic, that was like a great way to like first get out of the house and like socialize and talk to other people. And you end up making good connections, especially with like locals there and affluent people. And it's just it's a fun kind of environment as well, So definitely don't be surprised if you see the Double Up Blackjack podcast.
There you go.
Hell yeah, man. What would you focus that on?
Well, it would be just kind of like what you guys are doing, as far as just whatever, I also would kind of name it or have a like the will to win, people who just have that strong desire to make something of their lives. I think, us as people, we all want to create something, and, definitely whatever it might be, if it's some kind of entrepreneur or someone who's like a social media influencer, it could be some kind of, athlete, or if they're also like within real estate and business, those tend to be kind of my focuses. But I'm open for open discussion with anybody. So
There you go.
That would be fun.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's.
Would
really
you be
some of
Would you be playing and doing the podcast, right?
yeah,
Or-
yeah. I mean,
can you guys do that? Concentrate or no?
it'd be some multitasking, but
Right,
hey,
it's
if,
no multitasking.
if you could
tough.
play at the casinos and count cards and kind of like check out the pit boss and take your drinks and socialize with the people, yeah, I think I could manage the podcast style. But it would be fun, and sometimes teaching the guest. And
But it's not real money, so it's like most people will know basic strategy, and so as long as they know basic strategy, you're not really losing money. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no money involved in it.
I mean, I
so.
just think it'll be fun.
I
I,
think
mean,
it'd be
plain,
fun.
you know, if that's the brand.
Mhm.
So
And something new, something different, something
Exactly.
You haven't
Because
seen that.
right. Well, and you know, as far as like with you guys, I definitely see, the kind of sporting and kind of gaming kind of theme. With the Portland Timbers scarf right here. You see, these other podcasts like they're in the Old Spice, Kevin Hart in the cold tub. The Charles Barkley and Ernie Johnson, they have they're in the steam room. It's a
different.
cool, different
Yeah.
concept,
Yeah.
So I hope no one tries to steal that, by the way, too. So
You gotta
I
get on it.
it
You gotta
now.
move. You gotta
Yeah.
move. So I forgot what I was gonna ask. What do you got?
no, I was just interested in his brand. You've had it since you opened the page. You've had it for just a few months, or how long?
Yeah, well, I would say since maybe January is when I started to I just wanted to create like a brand, and my logo is the branding of it. And it's funny, if you see the logo, it's like it looks like a W, right? With my name Wilson, but with a crown on it. And then also it's like you see a little bit of a B and a like for blackjack and a J. So it kind of like all like went in together. And then also, I'm real like business mindseted and marketing as far as like, the whole like color, different colors create different like thoughts of branding.
Yeah.
So
Did
yellow was like kind of like
Yeah.
royalty or some kind of luxury.
Did you
Yeah.
come up with the design yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, no.
You
no.
told someone I want this or
There's different platforms nowadays that you could type in. Well, especially now with like
Yeah.
this was before ChatGPT, but different platforms you could plug in and say like what you're selling or what your brand is like based off of, and then they'll show you different artwork. I think it's Brand Crowd. But
okay, yeah.
yeah, give credit to them. Shout out to
there you
Brand
go.
Crowd.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's cool. Cause for me, I didn't even notice the W until you just said that. To me, I just see the B for blackjack, and then I see the crown. I'm like for a king, But I don't know. To me, since I see what you post, blackjack, and I look at that, and I'm like, that makes sense. But
Exactly.
yeah, I like the yellow too. The yellow, McDonald's does yellow because it's supposed to be like a happy color.
Mhm.
It's supposed people are supposed to remember the color yellow when they see the color yellow.
Right.
That's your favorite color now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I got some shirts then for you.
Oh, there
There
you
we
go.
go. There we go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw that you were at Ryan Pineda's event.
Yes.
How'd
yes.
that go?
I mean, for people who don't know Ryan Pineda, he's like one of the biggest marketers and in the real estate entrepreneur space in the U.S. But he lives in Vegas, and he had a free workshop and got to meet him. And I've been following him before I even moved out to Vegas, and he was dropping so much gems, and he was just giving out so much value for being a free event. But he's got for one, he was talking about, his real estate investing, it's called the Wealthy Investor. And also he was going into the Wealthy Creator, which it's like, being able to pitch your social media and increase your influence, because we all know the importance of it nowadays. And either way, very valuable stuff, and what a motivation and inspiration to. I was like, oh, it's funny. That's how powerful social media is nowadays. Like this guy's got like, before anyone's getting verified, but he's like verified dude, hundreds of thousands of people, but he's right there, kind of just like everyone else. So it was good.
That's crazy. Dude, you should buy his $10 million property.
Oh man, I guess someone tried to like say, oh yeah, I'll help you. He's like, yeah, like buy it, like, but yeah, he's definitely got some prime real estate, and he sells like, I think he's pitching that one as far as like, oh, I'm selling my mountain because it's on the top of McDonald Highlands, and oh man,
How much is that property worth now? Is it
Um,
10 million?
if we're thinking of the same one. He was saying there was like a $6 million. He bought it for like
650,
650.
650,000. He bought a property, and this property is in a spot in Vegas where most of the hill, or most of the top of the hill has a view of Vegas. So it just a beautiful view. And he bought it for $650,000. How long ago?
I think like
I don't-
2020.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 3-4 years ago. And now it's worth how much?
It's like 6 million is what he's selling it for.
Damn,
He was
dude.
doing this because he was gonna. It's like 2 acres. He was gonna
Yeah.
build his like dream home on it. But then all these like back and forths with the architects and all this, and it took a long time. And after like seeing the like appreciation, which is why real estate is a beautiful thing, he was just like, I'm just gonna sell it in 10x his initial investment.
That's crazy.
Wait, 10 is that even 10? Yeah, 10x it.
Is
yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah, it's from 600,000 to 6 million.
That's a lot.
Man, in 3 years,
That's a lot.
That's a big.
That's huge, dude.
That's a big.
I thought you were
come
gonna
up.
say, "Oh yeah, he bought it like 10 years ago," but nah, dude.
Oh, it
That's,
was like COVID times
Mm-hmm.
when everybody was scared to buy.
I know, dude.
Exactly. So, and that's just it reminds me of Warren Buffett saying, when others are fearful, be greedy, and to be greedy when others are fearful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things, like, you got to take action.
Yeah.
You got to take action.
Hell yeah. So right now, what are you the most focused on?
Right now, I'm most focused on my real estate businesses, and I say that with my realtor hat and the investing hat. So it's all about, in the real estate game, is lead gen and finding, new clientele, and, there's either hot, warm, or cold leads. So real estate, and of course, depending on, just talking to as many people as possible, they all could go into each one of those categories, whether it's their sellers, buyers, or investors.
Hell yeah. Man, well, you got anything?
No, man.
Well,
No.
we appreciate. Do you have anything for us, bro?
No, man, I definitely, like what you guys are doing, and I appreciate you guys having me. I don't really have anything else, but,
Appreciate you coming through, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had a blast. It was fun talking about similarities that we have.
mhm.
I'm excited for what you got going on. I'm excited for you to grow your clothing brand. I'm excited for your real estate ventures as well. I'm excited seeing your stuff when you post your stuff on Instagram. I'm like, oh, what's this guy got going on now?
Yeah.
You know?
You were kind of off it for a bit, no? For like 3 weeks or so.
Well, you know what, and it's always like trying to like adjust, and I like what you guys are doing
Yeah.
too. And it's about adjusting to which kind of platforms you're testing different things
Ah, I
out.
see.
You want to like, some people have different, thoughts of like just volume, post as much as possible, but then also with certain platforms, it's like, should I do this with its more friends and family? So it's testing
yeah, I
stuff
see.
out.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all, the more
Yeah.
the better.
What social medias are you focused on?
Right now, I'm focused on YouTube, to be honest, whether it's YouTube Shorts or like what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
long form, because, definitely as far as monetization and just it being, if someone's invested you on YouTube, then you got a solid person, like, versus, Instagram, and other, all of them are great.
Yeah.
But I definitely like what YouTube has to offer right now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential in YouTube, and I think you're right. I think the shorts are super important. And if you have that long form content, you can just cut that up and get your reels from there.
Exactly.
So, hell yeah.
Damn, dude, you already know. Next time we go to Vegas, we'll hit him up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'll-
dude.
I'll meet
Go
you
to
at
the
the
strip.
tables.
man.
Like, ah, shit again.
Yeah, we know where he's at.
Yeah.
We know where he's
That'll
at.
be the time that I do go to the strip. But yeah, definitely, you guys let me know.
Hell yeah. Dude, where can people find you?
You can find me Wilson_Walker on Instagram or on YouTube. I believe it's the same Wilson_Walker hashtag work with Wilson, and Facebook the same Wilson_Walker. So yeah. Besides that, yeah, you'll see my face more throughout the years. I'm trying to be like a Ryan Pineda or like you guys, posting this kind of content.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we're excited to see what you got, what you build, and hell yeah, dude. I hope we grow with you.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's go, man.
go.
Thank you guys.